What's up, everybody? Thanks again for joining me on our next episode of In the Pink. And if you are not familiar with what that term means, that is a term coined way back in the 1500s, before pink was even a color. And it has to do with wishing someone optimum health and happiness. So this week, we are talking about gut health, and we are filling in that blank with heartburn or acid reflux. But as always, we're always gonna start out with a what we know. So my first what we know that in America alone, acid reflux or heartburn issues affect about 1/3 of our population. 10% of those struggle with these symptoms on a daily basis, and 44% struggle with these symptoms at least monthly. So it's kind of a big deal. And my second what we know, now this should astonish you and frighten you at the same time. About 5% of children struggle with these symptoms, and I mean children down to the age of infants. And my next what we know that drugs marketed for heartburn and these remedies are the 3rd largest class of drugs sold on the market. So let's take an example of that class. Nexium, the purple pill, which was introduced back in 2001. This drug came in at number 10 as being the most widely prescribed drug to date, to the tune of $61.8 billion in sales. Now you need to consider this too. This is before the patent was up. This drug is still being produced generically, and those sales are on top of that number. And my last what we know that these over-the-counter treatments and even prescription treatments, these have side effects, and one of the side effects is gut dysbiosis. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the gut's role in this and how this is all interrelated. Well, first, let's just talk about heartburn in the first place. When we think of heartburn, we think of that as being our stomach or our gut producing an overabundance of acid, right? Which is why we use antacids to treat that symptom. However, this is not always the case. More and more studies are showing this to actually be the opposite. It is having a low amount of acid that is causing these symptoms. So think of it this way. Our stomach environment is acidic for a reason. It is acidic to digest our foods properly. It is acidic to keep microbial growth in check, to keep the good microbes thriving, and to keep the detrimental microbes not thriving. When we have a flip in this environment, what do you think happens? We do start to see an overgrowth of bacteria, SIBO. We do start to see an overgrowth of yeast or fungus, leaky gut. But yes, having too much acid is also a problem because that's a risk factor for ulcers. So it's, again, this balance. All right, let's move on to these direct connections. So there's basically 2 ways in which this heartburn or this acid reflux and our gut dysbiosis are connected. The first thing, acid reflux can actually be caused by an imbalanced gut. That is a symptom of it. And it's not the only symptom, right? So gas, indigestion, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, all these tummy issues are symptoms of an imbalanced gut. And again, this heartburn or acid reflux is generally thought to be an overproduction of stomach acid. That is being proven over and over again that is not the case. It's actually having not enough stomach acid and not properly digesting your foods, and then we are having these symptoms. Now on the flip side, when we treat that acid with these drugs that we're talking about, those meds are causing gut dysbiosis. They're causing an imbalance. And these changes start right in the esophagus, where the drugs are changing the microbiome, so continuing into the stomach, into the small intestines, into the large intestines, all the way into the colon, altering the gut microbiome flora. And more studies are showing that patients that do use these proton pump inhibitors do not have a healthy gut flora in comparison to patients that don't use them. Do you see how this is all related again? It's just circular in motion. All right, let's move on to some healthy practices. What are some things that we can be doing on a daily basis to keep our gut healthy and to keep these symptoms at bay? As always, I'm always gonna start with diet. This is something simple. This is something we do every day, right? We're feeding our body food. So let's start making better choices. So first of all, think about triggers. What are some triggers that trigger this heartburn for you? Is it acidic foods? Then cut them out. Is it caffeine? Then cut it out. Is it alcohol? Then cut it out. Juices, sauces, spicy foods, junk foods. So it's time to start cutting back, if not eliminating these foods, at least on a temporary basis to try and heal our gut. The second thing, probiotics. We need to be populating our gut with probiotics that are beneficial for our bodies. So in one review alone that reviewed 12 different studies that were completed, probiotics were shown to have beneficial effects in these gastroesophageal reflux disorder symptoms. So regurgitation, burping, dyspepsia, nausea, and even abdominal pain. These symptoms improved by getting our gut microbiome healthy and balanced again. Another thing these probiotics did, they improved digestion, which is super important. We need to be digesting our foods properly, not only for the health of our body and getting the nutrients out of these foods, but also for alleviating symptoms that are associated with poor digestion. And the third thing, prebiotics. In fact, a study way back in 2018 showed that 88% of the patients that used prebiotic fibers had an improvement in symptoms over those who were not using prebiotic fibers. So again, it's super important we're populating with appropriate probiotics in our gut, but it's also imperative that we are feeding them. And get this population who used the prebiotics found symptom relief within 2 to 8 weeks. Pretty phenomenal results. And the fourth and last thing, rest and digest. It is a thing. It's not only a cute little saying. So what this means in a nutshell, slow down when you are eating. Be mindful of what you're eating. Allow your body to digest food in a slow and restful manner. So try to avoid eating frantically. Try to avoid eating on the run, or even to be in a stressed state of mind when you're eating. And another thing, stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before you are ready to hit the sack. We don't want our bodies to try and be digesting food when we are ready to call it a night. All right, the part that I love the most. Let's talk Plexus. Let's talk Plexus and how Plexus can play a role in helping you deal with these digestion issues. Well, the first and foremost, which I address every week, the TRIPLEX, but let's go over why. Now, if we choose this microbiome activating TRIPLEX, we've got a prebiotic fiber in there. And of course, with the ProBio 5, we are not only planting good probiotics into our gut, but we are also incorporating digestive enzymes. And that is all of what we are talking about here today is digestion and healthy digestion. And I'm not going to leave out that BioCleanse because BioCleanse is a good source of magnesium. And wouldn't you know that magnesium is actually crucial in relaxing and regulating the sphincter in our lower stomach, which digests food. If we are low in magnesium, the sphincter stays contracted, and that contraction leads to reflux. Do you see why the BioCleanse plays an important role just because of the magnesium alone? And the next one, VITALBIOME, because again, it's 8 different strains of probiotics. Now, these studies have shown that specifically bifidobacterium strains and lactobacillus strains are very crucial in dealing with this specific symptom. And wouldn't you know that both of these products have it in there? And the last product I want to touch on today, the newest one, the sleep gummies. And again, because Plexus does it right every time, they have included a prebiotic fiber in their sleep gummies. So isn't it just fitting when you are ready to call it a night and you have eaten hours ago, you are putting your body not only in a place for an optimum good night's sleep, but you are feeding your probiotics with a prebiotic fiber XOS. Now, I want to touch on one more thing. If you are using proton pump inhibitors, and fun fact, did you know that proton pump inhibitors, their indication is for no more than 14 days of usage? Does that tell you anything? So Nexium or Prilosec or their generic equivalent, something of that nature, you cannot be stopping these cold turkey. Well, you can, but you're probably most likely going to get acid reflux rebound. You're gonna get your body overproducing acid then. That's just how it works. So first, work on repopulating your gut, properly getting your gut balanced again. And then we look at slowly discontinuing these proton pump inhibitors, meaning tapering down slowly and letting your body ease into functioning properly without them. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging with me till the very end. And if you are new to this Plexus train and you have no idea what I am talking about, I'm gonna list in that description box my link. Get on there, nose around, ask me some questions. Curiosity will get you on this train every time. I'm also gonna list in that description box some videos I've done in the past. And I'm also gonna include right here the list to our current playlist so you can catch a few more episodes. And you might just want to join me here again next week, because what happens in the gut does not stay in the gut. It affects everything, which is going to lead into many more episodes of In the Pink.